Former President Donald Trump is returning to the CPAC stage tomorrow. Hide the flags. So disturbing. And now the same man who gripped the stars and stripes won't let go of something else, the idea that he's still president. Just look at the press conference he held this week. The flags, the columns, that vaguely familiar seal on the podium. Of course, that's not the White House, that's Trump's golf club at Bedminster. But it looks like some kind of POTUS Potemkin village with Trump as the pretender in chief. Yes, he seems to be spending his post-presidency playing president. And as always, he is playing the victim too, this time claiming disinformation is being directed at him.
If you say it long enough, hard enough, often enough, people will start to believe it.
Yeah. And with Trump, projection is always part of the performance. And over on Fox News, his trusty propagandists were eating it up.
I was struck by the very presidential presentation at Bedminster. He had the throng of reporters. He had the entourage in the background. The only thing that was missing was the presidential seal on the podium.
And it looked like the White House, that backdrop.
I forgot who was president all of a sudden. It was good to see him back in action.
Yes, because it's all just an act, or you might say his second act. Another case in point, last week, Trump hopped on a plane to the Texas border. He met with the governor and more than 20 House Republicans and then stood in front of a border wall he no longer controls and gave instructions about the paint job. It was just like old times as Trump revived his wishes to paint the wall black so the hot border sun will scald anyone who tries to climb it.
We have to get that painted now. They have to paint it, because if they don't paint it, bad things are happening. I'm looking, and it has to be painted. And the best color to paint it is black, because if you paint it black, it's so hot, nobody can even try to climb it.
All that was missing that day was Trump promising Mexico would pay for it. Also on hand, the architect of Trump's immigration plan, Stephen Miller, and Trump's former acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf. What's next? Another Stop the Steal rally on the National Mall? He may find some of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers are busy, in jail. And now this weekend, Trump heads to CPAC, the same event that earlier this year put on display an enormous golden statue of Trump with American flag shorts and a magic wand. But there's no wand to change the election results, even though the CPAC crowd may need some reminding.
Now, you can say that he lost the election, but his supporters, 73 million.
Well, he did lose the election.
You can say that he lost the election, and
he did lose the election.
Yeah, but I'm not quibbling that. Of course he lost the election.
Makes my brain hurt. And they'll need more reminders because Trump keeps making the rounds to Florida, North Carolina, and Ohio, where some of his followers have convinced themselves that he'll be reinstated.
Ron, you genuinely believe that he's
coming back.
That he could come back as soon as
before the middle of August.
And what if that doesn't happen?
Huh?
What if that doesn't happen?
We're going to be in a civil war because the militia will be taken over.
Even the conspiracy-loving Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene sounded a note of caution about that wacky theory that Trump will return to the White House in August.
I want people to be careful in what they believe. It's going to be very difficult to overturn the 2020 election. And so I hate for anyone to get their hopes up thinking that President Trump is going to be back in the White House in August, because that's not true. And I'm telling you, as a member of Congress, that's a very difficult thing to make happen.
It's not just very difficult, it's impossible. There is no constitutional mechanism that would allow for it. This is the land of the free, not the land of the make-believe. But Trump loves to play pretend. Remember this old act at his rallies?
It's a lot easier to act presidential than to do what I do. Anybody can act presidential. Ladies and gentlemen of the state of Florida, thank you very much for being here. You are tremendous people. And I will leave now because
I am boring you to death. Thank you.
Trump actually had it backwards. It's a lot harder to act presidential and exit the stage with dignity and grace, and perhaps some humility. And on that note, there's something I'd like to address. A couple of weeks ago, I compared Trump's comeback tour to the circus, full of sideshow acts and clowns. I later got an email from an expert on the circus industry. This person pointed out that comparison actually was not fair because unlike the chaos of Trump world, a circus is carefully composed and organized. That's a great point. Comparing Trump to a clown is most definitely an insult to clowns. He's more like one of those mask-hating customers at the grocery store. You've seen them. A Karen, or whatever the name would be in Trump's case. You can almost hear him saying, I want to talk to the manager about the election. I want to talk to the manager of Twitter or Facebook. And the American people are kind of like the store manager. We have to explain, well, sir, you lied about the election. You incited an insurrection. You're going to have to leave the store or we're calling security. Please take your fake White House seal and go play president somewhere else.